2, 1.
What is up, guys? This is episode 16 of DJ Talks, and my name is Johnny.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan.
This week is going to be a little different. I say that like every other fucking episode. I
You
should stop
literally
that.
every single episode is the
I
same.
should probably stop saying that.
This is all different. Off the cuff. This is different. This is a new and updated version.
So instead of talking about one specific topic, we're actually going to we're going to review ourselves. We're going to do a recap in all that we've done so far in the past 15 episodes. Dan and I are going to kind of critique ourselves based on the statistics and analytics that YouTube offers, based on feedback that we've heard from our friends. And I guess this episode is really important to us because while this is super casual, as you could probably tell by the platforms we use and the production quality and things like that.
The sound quality, every quality.
Yeah, like it took us so long to get the sound quality sorted out. But I think it'll be really helpful for us moving forward because we are kind of looking to expand and we're looking to grow ever so slowly, but steadily for sure. But before that, I want to hear a little bit from Dan about his trip to New York.
So wait. We're gonna do. All right.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. I forgot about that. That's my fault.
We have
That's all you need.
2 announcements. Okay. So I don't even remember my announcements anymore. Holy
Wait,
shit.
I remember them.
Go
remember them.
Go ahead, Johnny.
So,
go back down.
The first thing that we're gonna announce is we're gonna do a little bit of a Q&A session at the end of every podcast. So we do have some social media engagement where we post these episodes on Facebook, on Twitter, and we are gonna look to post on other platforms as time goes on. But sometimes we'll get messages from our friends about their feedback on things. Sometimes that we'll get a couple of comments, and we actually wanted to take some time to respond to those. So throughout the week, when an episode goes live, Dan and I will kind of gather some of those questions and thoughts, and then we'll respond to them at the end of every following episode. So, for example, we had the dating episode before the PUBG episode. So had we gone through the feedback we got in the dating episode, at the end of that PUBG episode, we would have talked about it. So on our next episode, we'll talk about your guys' responses to how we feel about our own feedback and how we're doing.
And we
But if
actually
there isn't
got
any,
this.
that's cool. So
Yeah, we actually got this specifically from one of our viewers. So thank you, viewer. I don't know if you want to stay anonymous or not, but I'll keep it anonymous for now.
well, he'll be on the show at some point soon. You and I
Very
know that
soon.
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number
Do
2.
you want to make the second announcement? It's all you, my dude.
All right. Number 2 announcement. We have actually, our podcast now actually has a platform on an actual podcast, audio only site. So we're gonna post that link below on this video. We're gonna share it on our social medias. But now you can actually download an MP3 or listen to it on on this website rather than watching it on YouTube. So that way, I think YouTube uses a crap ton of data. So now you have us in the palm of your hands.
Mind you, this is the first time we're using a website, so we're not completely familiar with its functionality yet. So if there are problems, please let us know. We are going to look to get ourselves on other platforms and make it easier for people to listen to us. So it's not just YouTube, because like Dan said, no one really wants to stream. Sometimes we have like over an hour long episodes. Like you don't want to stream all of that on your phones. That makes it a little difficult. So we are trying to make it easier for you guys to listen to us, but that comes slowly. So
And we are
let us
excited
know
about
how this is. No, we're so excited. Oh my god, this is all Dan, by the way. I had nothing to do with it. I just woke up one day and then like bam, it was there. So thanks, Dan.
Thank you all. All your suggestions, comments, and viewers and everything. So, but yeah. So now, I guess on to New York. For the last couple of weeks, Johnny and I have been out and about. You have seen our regular kind of uploads because we kind of pre-recorded some episodes. But we've had some excitement in our lives. So first off, I actually got a chance to go to New York for a week. My experience was pretty much it was my first time going to New York ever. So I pretty much did every touristy attraction possible. You think of an attraction, except for the museums. So, except for the museums, all the big museums, I went. So Central Park, the Rockefeller. We got to take a look at the Empire State Building. We didn't go up there, or we didn't even get too close to it. But the 9/11 Memorial, Brooklyn Botanical Gardens, and a crap ton of food. So, if you guys need to know kind of some of the big name food places, I don't know any hole in the wall food places yet because that was my very first time. Like I said, I went to pretty much all of the high popular everybody knows restaurants. So if it's ever your first time going to New York, you can kind of ask me if you are interested in some of the local or popular food places. So, yeah, it was just a bunch of. I'd say New York is just a bigger Chicago. That is the only. They have their own small little things like, the thin crust pizza, right? That is the New York thing. They have some things that are slightly different than Chicago, but for the most part, if you haven't explored Chicago yet, I'd say it's similar. It's just a much larger city, more bustling. But a lot of the food that you can find in Chicago or New York, you can probably find in Chicago as well. So I'd say if you live in Chicago, take advantage of Chicago. That's what I've noticed, actually. I realized, a lot of this food it's transferable. I ate this in Chicago.
Right.
It's just at a different place, and it's popular in New York, so that's why. But yeah, overall, it was very fun. Great experience. Crap ton of walking. Very tiring, but very fun.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I've been in New York twice now, New York City specifically, and it definitely feels like it's just a much busier, more crowded Chicago. Yeah.
They have some of their own like small little things, like the delis are really popular in New York. Like everywhere you go, there's a deli on like a corner, just on a random corner. You'll see a deli, and these delis have breakfast food, lunch food. They're like 7-Elevens with a deli. Like they cook for you there, so it's kind of cool. If you want to go grab breakfast, it's cheap, it's quick, it's easy, and pretty good. So it's one thing I noticed actually that was very different. Is a lot of the smaller family-owned shops, I guess you would say. But yeah, that's good. My experience was fun. Now let's jump over to Johnny. He can kind of explain where he was, but he actually got a chance to go to DreamHack. So take it away, Johnny.
Yeah, so over the past weekend, by the time this uploads, it'll have been 2 weekends ago, I was in Denver for DreamHack. TESPA hosted a meetup there. So because it was in my region, my partner and I planned an event there where we got a bunch of college esports organization leaders to come meet up with us, and we also had like members of the DreamHack crew, and we had like local gamers that were nearby that may not necessarily been part of TESPA but were attending DreamHack and wanted to stop by to see what all the buzz was about. So that was a lot of fun. My partner Sarah and I were only expecting like 60 people to attend the event. It was a really rough planning process because of some logistical issues that we had. But even with week promotion, we ended up getting like over 120 people that came. So I was really thankful that it worked out really nicely. I had a lot of support from TESPA. I had a couple of my teammates fly out from the East Coast, my manager from the West Coast. We were able to raffle away some really nice stuff, like some of those really nice Asus Republic of Gamer mouse pads, like a TESPA backpack, a hoodie, and all this other really nice swag. So that was really cool. The event went really well. And then at DreamHack, I got to like just explore. I was working at the event, so I got to see what it was like from a crew perspective, helping run some of the tournaments there at the bring your own console area, the BYOC.
Okay.
I
that's
think the
cool.
coolest thing there was seeing like 1,500 computers in a convention center basement, just like lined up at tables and tables like Hogwarts style, and each PC was very different in how it was built and the colors on it and the rigs. So it kind of gave me that sense of individualism and identity and I got to learn a little bit about the owner by looking at the PC. I thought that was fucking like
So
phenomenal.
they brought their own consoles and PCs and rigs and everything. Jeez,
Yep.
that's a huge lug.
Yeah, and they pay a lot. Like they pay like $70 per spot. Like just the seat is $70.
really?
Like that's sat on the table. And I mean, you get like a gigabit Ethernet connection and stuff, and you get power and all this other stuff, which also blew my mind because like how the hell were they able to like wire this entire thing so everyone had a connection, everyone had a power? Like it was insane. And that's just the BYOC area. I didn't even talk about like the arcade area, the exhibition area, the panels that they had. The stages, they had a main stage like with collegiate grudge matches, so it was really awesome to see that a bunch of local universities came out and they played in like casual Overwatch and League matches. I think the best thing about that was I actually got to see female gamers on stage. Like that is not something that in the world of esports you see every day. It's usually just a bunch of dudes. So getting to see like young women competing on stage is phenomenal. That was like that made me really happy.
Super
Yeah,
awesome
like-
then. And how
No,
large
absolutely.
was this dream hack? I know there's a couple of dream hacks, right? This is not just
Yeah.
the one, but how many
So-
people would you estimate it to have been?
That's hard, man. I know that there are 1,500 people at the BYOC.
Okay.
I would say a couple of thousand people were there.
All right.
The venue was really big, so it never felt very crowded, but I know that there were a lot of people there.
Were there some famous people? Because I know that this was probably coinciding with Twitch. No, TwitchCon is this weekend. Okay.
No,
So-
it did line up with TwitchCon.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was interesting because I guess TwitchCon you got a lot more of the creationists and
Okay.
the streamers there. At DreamHack it was very much competition based. So this was considered a S tier Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament. So big names like Hungrybox, Mewtwo King, and Mango were there. I didn't get to see Mango, but I
Hey,
saw
Mango!
Hungrybox and
Just
Mewtwo
kidding.
King there. So that was cool. Yeah, Mango. But
I didn't know you
that
played
was
Smash
really
that
cool.
much.
yeah, dude. Hidden identity. And then I also got to watch some of the DreamHack Open, which is a big CS:GO tournament there. So I got to watch teams like Cloud9, Mouse Esports, Big Esports, and CLG play on stage.
Oh, very
That
cool.
was really cool. Just the amount of effort and work and planning that goes into planning these events was amazing. And actually sitting close enough to the front stage where you like see the players' reactions and hearing them yell, like seeing them yell into their microphones. That was really cool. They also had a large Quake tournament and a large Halo tournament there, so that was awesome.
Awesome. Sounded like a
Yeah.
fun experience. Sounded like crap ton of people that went over and just a bunch of like-minded individuals that all love gaming.
Yeah, no,
Piled
it was
into
awesome
one
being
convention
surrounded.
center.
Exactly.
It's like ASIN
Yeah.
for gamers.
Yeah, except ASIN's for weebs and a DreamHack for gamers. So
There you
I
go.
definitely recommend going to like a large LAN before. I'd never been to a LAN up until DreamHack Denver,
Mm-hmm.
so definitely recommend. I'm also going to be at PAX South, so
Did you get to play some of the games then there or compete a little bit?
it's funny you ask. I played in a very casual Pokemon tournament, a Pokemon card game tournament, and I won. I went 3-0, so that was cool.
How many people joined this casual tournament?
It
And were there a lot of card game tournaments there?
was like 8 people. There was a $10,000 Magic tournament, and then there's a bunch of
Holy
like casual Pokemon events. There wasn't a lot of card game stuff there though.
What'd you win?
I just want a box of Pokemon stuff. I paid $20. The box was worth like 30. So if you want to put like a dollar amount on how much I won, I guess it was like $10 in retail
Woo!
value. So that was cool.
Yeah.
I think another thing that I got that was really cool. I'm gonna see if I can like carry it up to my webcam. Were some new keys. So you'll notice that those keys on my keyboard are gray.
Oh,
That was the first time I bought like new keycaps, and I thought they were really cool because they're kind of
Keycaps.
textured.
I didn't even know that there were keep cams. Awesome.
Yeah, so I bought them. I've been using them. They feel nice. Good stuff.
Good stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we got a chance to kind of listen in on what we've been up to for the past 2 weeks. Now I want to really dive into kind of our YouTube channel,
Yeah.
how it's been going, how everyone's, how we view it, all of those basic stats from it. So we jotted down a couple of things, top three pretty much.
Top threes of everything.
Yeah, top three. So I guess our top three view count, and a lot of this thing is because a lot of the difference in views, from what I think, is because we started, or we didn't advertise certain, not even advertise, we didn't post onto our social medias for certain videos. Only some,
Yeah.
right?
But
I
that was
think there
definitely
were
on
three.
me.
No. It was on both of us too. Like there were 3 or 4 different videos. We are actually on video number 16, so our review is on the past 15 episodes here, and I think there were only like 3 or 4 that we didn't actually advertise. One that we actually really liked, probably.
Yeah. So I think that it's really good to start this discussion by talking about what our goal is with the podcast and why we do it at all.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
it's kind of interesting since Dan, you and I kind of just like we really wanted to start something like this and we thought it'd be cool, but we didn't really have a direction per se. So when Dan and I initially started the conversation of hosting a podcast, I was kind of like I approached him about it and I was like, it'd be really cool if we could like do something like this, and Dan was totally on board for it. We both knew that we'd be really busy. Dan does work a full-time job where he works like 40, 50 hours a week. I'm really busy with TESPA stuff, and I also have another part-time job on top of that. So it was difficult at first to find like time during the week to schedule for our recordings. It was actually really difficult at first, but we knew we wanted to do it. So we were like, okay, we'll do a couple practice runs, and then we started rolling, and then we had the courage to upload our first video. So I think that was really cool because at the time we didn't really know what we wanted to do or where it was going. Like we didn't know what kind of podcast we wanted to do, how long we wanted our episodes to be, the topics that we wanted to cover. But then we realized that it was okay that we didn't have those things in mind, but that for the first 5 episodes or so, we would just kind of experiment and go along with what we were comfortable with.
Just
and then following that,
do it.
yeah, no, basically, like that was basically what it came down to.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we should just sit down, record. It'll feel like garbage because it's our first time and we're like breaking out of that comfort zone, like shell. But we did it, and then we just kind of went with it. So then following that, we started like establishing a process. Dan is doing a lot of technical stuff, which is why he was the one to kind of take that initiative and uploading our podcasts in an audio format to a new website. He's also the one that does all the recording. I just kind of do a little more of the social media stuff. I post on Facebook a lot more. I post on Twitter, and I have
his words. What's more than me?
Well, I mean, I would say that I just have more experience with social media marketing. I think that you could do just as well if you had a little more experience. But it just kind of worked out that way, right? So those are kind of the roles that we established for ourselves, and it wasn't like I'll do this, you do that. It was kind of like we just did it. And so here we are now, like with a lot of like back and forth podcasts. Where like some of them are really long, some of them are shorter, some of them they're never rehearsed. They're always like we either prepare for them or we don't. And I think Dan and I have always, whenever we talk like as friends, we were always pretty comfortable having extended conversations about things. So even when one of us was way more well-versed in a topic than the other, we still felt pretty comfortable having those discussions. A really good example of that is, and I think this is a good place to start with the analytics, is one of our favorite episodes, but we feel got the least traction because at the time that we were thinking about how we wanted to market ourselves, personally, I was very worried about like spamming people's news feeds with our podcasts, and I felt really bad for that. But I realized that I was foolish. A friend of mine pointed that out, and Dan also made the point that like if people really don't want to see our podcast, then they can like keep scrolling, because most of the time on Facebook people just scroll infinitely, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't want to see it, they don't have to like look at it. But if they do, then it only benefits us. It doesn't necessarily hurt us. So I'm kind of sad because this is one of Dan and I's favorite episodes. The one where we talk about Japanese society. It was right after I spent 2 weeks on a vacation in Japan, and I actually got to like spend time with people, like a host family there. I got to hang out with some people my age in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to ask them about their thoughts on life and society and esports and like random stuff. But that, how many views did that episode have, Dan?
So it was our third lowest view count out of our 15 videos. It only had 14 views, but you know, whoever did watch it actually watched quite a bit of it. So I think, and Johnny thinks, it was a very interesting topic, like he said. So if you ever were curious about that, definitely take a look at it and check it out. But that was on us for not kind of posting it out there or sharing it for anyone who's interested. And I feel like a lot of people would be interested in Japanese society in general. Maybe not so much the anime side and the weeb side, but more so the real life side of work and culture and people in general. So
because that's what we focus on in the episode. We weren't talking a lot about like weeb shit. We were actually talking about, you know, people's, like you said, their everyday lives and like how they interpret certain things, and how there's more to Japanese culture than what we see in anime and noodles, right?
nudes.
Nudes.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, it was a good episode. Not our best in posting, but overall, we're still learning slowly. We have some type of schedule set now. It should, like, our videos always either post on late Mondays or early Tuesdays. So it's a somewhat set schedule. People can always expect us around that time. And we have some dedicated viewers already that, you know, some of our friends are actually continuously watching these, which is surprising for me.
Dude, it's surprising to me too. Like, I'm so thankful that people actually want to listen. It was actually really funny because last night at one of my more recent TESPA team meetings, I was telling them about some of my experiences with running TESPA related events at DreamHack, and one of my teammates said, "Wow, you should have a solo podcast." And then everyone just blew up and started flaming her because she's like, "Wow, you don't know he has a podcast? He posts about it all the time." It was really funny, but she's like, "No, guys, I know he has a podcast, but I mean, he should do one solo where he like just story tells and stuff." But I just thought that was funny because I just think that, like, Dan, you like all the conversations you have and all the stories you tell, like, it's really nice to know that we have people that actually want to listen to them and want to follow us and stuff. That's like really humbling because I'm like, I mean, I don't think that we're garbage, but I think that like we have a ways to go. So it's like,
definitely.
Just the fact that we're like, you know, still growing and there are people that want to listen. That's like, it's really nice.
Yeah, and sometimes we have two differing opinions, so a lot of people can either relate to one side or the other, and just two different styles of speaking. So, you know, it kind of reaches out to a whole different types of audiences at the same time. And we decided on kind of having the multi-topic podcast, I guess. So we talk about our interests, our hobbies, but at the same time we talk about bigger topics like Japanese society and talk about dieting and all of these different things. So there are many different videos and podcasts for different people, right? You can tune in at different times, and we clearly say it in our description. Hey, this is our topic for today. If you don't want to listen to it, you're not interested, you know, you can check us out on the next video. So
Dan, how does it make you feel when like people message you asking you about like something that you said in a recent episode? Because that shit makes me like super excited. I get really happy when I get those messages.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't get that many, So I get a couple here or there, and I like it. I enjoy it. It makes me feel good, especially because, they're noticing us. And that's all I want is for people to kind of notice and just this is something we put time into, and I just want everyone to kind of take a look at it and let us know how it looks. Give us feedback on it. At least they're watching it, seeing our hobbies and our interests, and I feel like that's what everyone wants to do is share their hobbies, share their interests, and we have a platform to do it on now, I guess.
Yeah.
What about
Absolutely.
you then? Huh?
Oh no, yeah, it's awesome. It's really nice when people will message me and like they'll specifically cite something I said or something you said, and then in the moment I'm like, shit, did I really say that? Or like, what was it that we were talking about again? And then it'll click, and then I'll be able to have that conversation, that dialogue with them about their interpretation of what I said and why they agree with it or why they disagree with it.
Definitely, definitely.
I always really like that. So.
Awesome. Yeah. So I mean, overall, I noticed some of our at least stats, some of our videos. Like I said, our highest view count one was our very first video that we put out. No matter how bad it was, people actually tuned in for it.
I thought it was garbage, dude. Like, I mean, it was fun to talk about all of our favorite video games and stuff, but like, my mic was shit. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like rolling and rambling about like random stuff. I kept interrupting you when you were talking, Dan. That felt so bad.
Look, one thing I do think is that a lot of the topics that we do decide have to be, or not even have to be. I think the most viewed ones or the most watched ones are the ones that are most relatable for most people. So, video games in general, we don't talk about, a specific video game. We talk about this broad sense of video games in general. And a lot of our friends, I think, have played or have experienced video games in the past. So, I feel like that's one huge reason why people enjoy and like to take a look at our opinions and our interests for that specific topic video.
No, yeah, that's true. I mean, like some of the videos that we have, like the worst watch times on, are like our favorite YouTubers and stuff. And I think that that episode, I remember we talked about it. We didn't feel like super confident about going in, nor when we were recording it. But I think that, like you said, the biggest reason is that like it may not necessarily be relatable for everybody. I think that if we want to reach a wider audience, we should talk about more relatable things. But that's another thing, right? We haven't necessarily decided what our goal is with the podcast, so that means that we don't have a target audience. So it puts us in a weird position where we don't know who we're trying to reach, but we know we want to reach people. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I just don't want to put like a restriction on what topics we do or can talk about.
Right.
I like the broad idea of we can talk about anything we want. So if a person or a viewer or a friend suggests a topic, we can talk about it because we're not restricted by the fact that we have to be talking to this specific audience. I mean, I guess initially if you do want to grow it fast and grow it quick, then you probably have to target one specific audience and one type of topic or some big name thing. But overall, I just don't want that restriction, and it's something that we're doing on the side because we enjoy it, not because we want to get famous and be popular in a sense. So
Right. Yeah, and for those of you that are wondering, like, we don't make any money from these videos at all. In case that was like even a question, like
I don't think anybody's questioning that.
Yeah, but I'm just like, because I mean, from the point of view from other like YouTubers, I know that there's a lot of controversy on like monetizing and demonetizing videos and stuff as of recent, especially with the whole Las Vegas shooting. So YouTube has been in this weird position where like smaller creators are not necessarily in the best place, but I think that with how casual we are about the podcast, it's just literally just because we just feel like doing it. We just want to do it. So, yeah, I don't think that we should necessarily restrict ourselves on the topics either. I just think that like my understanding of the growth of our audience is based on how well we present ourselves, what kind of topics we're talking about, and how interesting they are to listen to. Because that kind of brings us to one of our next most interesting statistics is that most people don't watch our full episodes. They'll listen for a few minutes and then they'll stop. And I personally think that that's just because most of our friends will like click on it to support us. They'll listen for a bit and then they'll go back to doing what they're doing before, which is fine. I could also be wrong. That's just me guessing. But I think that I think the numbers are skewed because like sometimes we'll have like half an hour long episodes, and then we'll have like a handful of people between our friends that'll watch them. But then most people will just click on and move on. So then the average duration that we see is probably skewed by just those like couple outliers, but then most of them being on the lower end. And I think that most of our friends actually probably don't watch podcasts regularly, but see that we're doing it. So they might want to like check it out and see what's going on. But I think that for our view duration, like for a podcast, I think anywhere between like half an hour and an hour is like totally fine. I know that a lot of our friends would probably prefer something shorter and may not necessarily have the patience to listen to something as long, just because they have a different workflow and how they go about their lives.
Yeah.
What do you think of our length and how long people are listening to us?
I like to talk in topic or in detail about one specific topic. So we get all of our opinions out, and we can probably talk even more about some of those topics. We could probably talk like 2-3 hours about something, but we shorten it a little bit, and at the very least 30 minutes to an hour I think is very good. When I watch podcasts or when I listen to podcasts, I listen to it kind of in multiple spurts, right? Every time I either am driving to work, or every time I'm commuting, or if have some type of downtime, or if I'm just playing a casual game, I have it running on the side. So it's something that I enjoy, and I do on the side, like listening to podcasts and these types of things. So I feel like, yeah, if you like the topic, I feel like if people like the topic, they'll take the time to listen to it. Right now, I think just everything is shorter attention span. People have shorter attention spans. People like shorter videos, more action-packed videos, and very visually appealing. So,
and I'm not very visually appealing, so.
I mean, I don't know about you, but look at all this.
Jesus.
No, I mean it's. I just hope people can enjoy it and tune in every so often. So
yeah, and I mean I was joking. Everyone knows I'm fucking adorable. It's just a matter of how much of me they want for that day,
Yeah, and
whether it's like 30 seconds or an hour.
And then one other big thing is, because people had the restriction of only seeing us on YouTube, now you actually get to download an MP3 if you want to and listen to us that way. So
right.
Another way for you guys to partake in this wonderful entertainment that we provide. But other than that, I mean, do you have any final thoughts on this, or do you want to kind of say something about our channel itself?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that I want to touch on. One of the things that Dan and I have been talking about quite a bit is branding and getting a logo and some graphics in for us to try to kind of figure out how you want to present ourselves online, because like on our YouTube channel, like honestly, it's pretty dull, and it's pretty like there isn't a lot on there other than the growing number of videos we put up. So that's pretty cool. But at the same time, I think that so Dan and I were actually going through the steps of trying to like get a logo established and stuff. But
what, you mean you don't like my amazing circle DJ talks?
I think it's dope. But I remember we had a couple of conversations about getting a different type of graphic,
a better graphic. You could just say it. It's okay. I'm not offended.
It's just a different one. It looks different.
Yeah.
It would be a change. But the graphic designer I was talking to just had different priorities, so that wasn't something that it kind of fell through. And I do want to try to find somebody that would be willing to help. So if any of you guys happen to know anybody that'd be willing to contribute just a little bit of their time to come up with something simple but workable for us that we could put like on our YouTube banner and then on our Twitter and stuff. That'd be really nice. But that's not like at the rate that we're growing and how based on how much work we put into the podcast is not like a big priority for us. And I say that because like back to what Dan and I kind of mentioned before, we're just really busy and I think it's really nice that we're able to do this, but it's just I don't necessarily think that we need more help. I mean, if we had help with how we want to brand things, that'd be really nice. But at the same time, we're just really casual with it. So
yeah. If anyone wants to toss it up, we can.
Oh my god! Wait. Okay, dude. So really quickly, I just got a YouTube notification about Jay Chow doing a League of Legends World song, and that's fucking hype because I love Jay Chow. But I'm so hyped to listen to the song as soon as we're done here. But I just needed to say that. Holy shit. Anyway. So yeah, I think that branding ourselves with the logo would be really nice. I also think that at some point, if we get ourselves on like SoundCloud and Stitcher and stuff, that'll feel like legit. If we ever like really get a fan base going, then I could see ourselves like putting ourselves on a Facebook page or Instagram account. But like that's probably not going to happen because I don't think that we'll have a fan base big enough for that.
Yeah, I mean, our Twitter has like 4 followers, so. Nothing big yet, but we're still moving along. So, but yeah, I mean, if anybody is interested, we can talk, message us, email us, let us know. We'd be interested.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can credit you and everything. So if you're a small-time graphic designer, want a small-time YouTube channel, we'll be willing to take it too. So.
And the last thing that I wanted to mention was, or not the last thing, but I'm sure that there's other things I want to mention, but guest speakers is something that Dan and I have been talking about as well. We've had a couple of friends that wanted to get themselves on the podcast and have just expressed interest in supporting us and having a conversation with us. So I think that when the time comes and we can put a little more planning to it, that will happen. That's something that Dan and I really want to do. That's probably among the higher priorities that we have in terms of what we want to do. And I could see that happening sometime between now and I want to say Thanksgiving, but it is coming close because we only have a couple weeks. So I would say by the end of the year, we'll have like a couple of guests on the show at some point. Just with the holidays, things do pick up for everybody. So it'll be a little busier. But I would definitely like to have like a third voice and a third opinion on some of the things that we discuss.
Yeah. So if anyone's interested, you definitely let us know as well. We'd love to have you if you have a specific topic in mind that aligns with kind of what we enjoy. I don't know if we have too much to say about like certain topics, but if you want to, feel free to let us know and we can try to get you on here and share your opinions to the world as well. To our 100 viewers.
I was really happy too because we have like 24 subscribers right now. I'm like, 26. This is nice. 26?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. Ooh. I'm just like, I mean, the growth is slow and steady, and I'm like, I know that like we admitted earlier that we don't really have a major direction, and I think that Dan and I are still trying to develop where we want to go with that. But honestly, I'm pretty pleased with where we are. I think with how much time that we put into producing episodes and how consistent we've been, it's been a good experience for me so far. And although there's a part of me that feels like we could totally do more and that we could take this on a larger scale if we put in more time, that is something that may happen in the future. It just won't happen now. And I think when the time comes and the opportunity presents itself, I would love to see more of a development in production quality, more establishment on social media, and also just like a greater idea of where we want that podcast to go before we kind of expand in directions that we're not ready to go. But and just not only expansion, but just like commitment of time. But it's not that we don't think that it's not worth it for our time. It's just like this is just realistically where we are. So I think reflecting back on how we've been doing, there's a lot of technical things that we could be working on, and I think that we're improving with every episode, honestly. But I'm pretty happy with where we are now, and I'm sincerely like really thankful that we have like a following, and however small it is, it's really nice.
Yeah. I fully enjoy it so far, and I look forward to continuing this for the years to come.
And Dan's dope as fuck. Honestly, like he lets me ramble about random stuff. He lets me talk about like random topics I want to talk about. So I want to let you know I appreciate you, Dan.
I appreciate you too, Johnny. You know, it's just because you're more eloquent. You know, I'm here to support.
I just talk a lot. That's it. It's not necessarily eloquent.
All right. Any final thoughts, Johnny?
Nah, I kind of got it going from there. So yeah, like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, any feedback or any comments that you guys have on this episode, we'll talk about at the end of our next episode. Yeah, is there anything you want to close on, Dan?
I mean, yeah, if you guys have even from previous episodes as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I know I got one comment from our favorite videos. Wow, Dan, you've never finished a Zelda game. Yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't fully enjoy the Zelda game, like I said in there. And it's just how it is. We're gonna just have to accept that. But I do want to try the Switch Zelda game. What is it?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. So
Hell yeah,
maybe
dude.
one day. Maybe that'll
It's a
be
good
my
time.
first Zelda game that I'll actually finish. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
that sounds good.
Awesome. So any other than that, like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Give us feedback. Give us comments. Private message it, and we'll be able to share it here anonymously on our show next week.
Sounds good. Take it
Deal.
easy, guys.
See ya.